right, ready for me to roll on this?
Yep.
Okay, so I'm going to take it over from Liz totally here. So let me go ahead and start recording. All right. Welcome everyone to Training on the T's. This is Power BI month in case you weren't aware of that. I know Liz mentioned that earlier in the pre-broadcast, I guess we could call it. Today's session is on Power Map and custom mapping with restaurant traffic. My name is Steve Hughes. I'm a BI architect with Pragmatic Works, and we're just going to dive into it. It was good to see the poll because now I understand where kind of everybody sits on this, and that a lot of beginners and a lot with no experience at all. So those of you in the intermediate level, you'll probably learn, I'm assuming you're here to learn about custom mapping, and so you'll enjoy this part, but for everyone here, we will actually be creating a Power Map scenario from the ground up using a custom map, which is just, really one difference from doing this normally. So hopefully all of you get a chance to learn something new today, and you'll enjoy the session. Without further ado, nope, my slide deck is not moving. There it goes. All right, a little bit more about Power Map. So this is kind of actually good timing to realize, like I said, it was good to hear that what level everyone was at. And so first thing is, Power Map's a free Excel add-in. There's the link. We'll be distributing this deck, or the information will be on my blog as well, probably in a few days after this post goes live. But you can go download this, add it to Excel. You can add it to Excel 2010 and 2013. My recommendation is to use 2013 because it's probably the most up-to-date at this point. Power Map visualizes data over space and time. That's the easiest way I've used to describe it. It's a 3D visualization tool. Its initial setup used Bing Maps, and you can actually do a lot of work with Bing Maps, including regional separation such as zip codes or cities or states and so on. And they've done a lot of good work with that area. We're not going to focus on that area because this is more about custom maps. Be aware that the work we do is very similar. It's actually probably easier to set up a map that doesn't use a custom map. Introduced in the last release of Power Map was custom maps and a few other features which we'll be also highlighting. But custom maps is the ability for you to create your own map and then to use that to map to, instead of using a Bing map or a typical geographic type of map. Now, that doesn't mean that your custom map wouldn't necessarily be geographic based, but for sure it is one of those things to keep in mind. Power Map, one of the things to be aware of, I think it's one of the things that hurts Power Map at the moment for general consumption and use is that it's shared as a video. So as you start to do this, keep in mind that the idea behind Power Map is really to tell a story. And you're going to play that story over time. Microsoft, pretty much every one of their demos, like the one I've highlighted here, is available out on YouTube as a video for that reason. More importantly, as you go to share it yourself internally, you can think of hosting it as a video on a SharePoint site, or if you actually want to display this as public information, maybe something you want to kind of really brag about, this visualization is really cool and enables that type of scenario very well. Today's scenario. So I've been wanting to, I'll be honest, I was wanting to work with custom maps that got released and really hadn't had a chance to do so very much, so I was like, all right, time to go present on it. That means I'm going to learn how to do it and be able to share it with others and write about it. So for Power Map, I was like, what scenario interests me? And I've done work with business intelligence work with a lot of different areas, and one of those was in the restaurant industry. And we had joked about, at that time, about wanting to actually see what it'd be like to track traffic through a restaurant. So I was sitting in the airport a few weeks ago, and the restaurant that's my inspiration is pictured down below. It's called Vero. You do a lot of travel, you end up in some of these places, and you notice that if you've been to the Minneapolis airport anytime recently, they have iPads at all the stations. Well, that makes them a great candidate for handling traffic, because people will use the iPads. So in this scenario, we're actually going to look at people who actually ordered something, and when I simulated that, and you can see I've got a custom map to the left of the image there that actually lays out a similar type experience, and we'll go through the process of how I created that and all those pieces. There are a number of table types that we are looking at. We have the bars. We have two bar areas, one table that seats 2 and a bunch of tables that seat 4 and 6. And the idea behind this was, we're going to look at in our demo as we go to create it from the ground up. I'm going to show you some of the seat level work I did, and we're going to create through this process together. We'll create the demo for doing table-based analysis. We have a number of tickets. We have a week's worth of data, number of tickets by seat with summarized for apps, entrees, non-alcoholic, and alcoholic beverages. For all we want to know, that kind of information, that's kind of the big buckets to track our food consumption and kind of the type of people who are coming in and what they're choosing to order. We are also summarized by hour of day. It was the easiest way for me to bring this up to a good level, so we're looking at it by hour at the moment. It can obviously go down to minutes. If I actually had access to all the iPads, we would actually have information from the time they touch the screen moving forward. So we'd actually know who sat there and didn't order anything as well. All they had to do was touch the iPad because we should be able to collect that information. So that gives you an idea of the inspiration behind this and the scenario that we're looking at today and when we're talking about restaurant traffic and kind of the data we're looking at. So I'm going to walk through a few slides talking about the process, and then we're just going to go dig into a demo and do the process. I want to walk you through kind of what I did. So as we started out, obviously you saw a small image of the map. We'll show you a larger image here soon. I created my map in Visio. That was a tool that allowed me to do that very easily. I was able to lay out. They have some pieces that help. What's interesting about that is we get into how you could create your own custom maps. If you already have a Visio and you're trying to track something, if you have information that essentially can show movement over time, so space is really, if the space on the screen or anything like that, that's the beauty of custom map. There are a lot of options and things that you can pursue. Some of those things are like, if you think about just even network traffic, so you're trying to figure out which servers are being utilized the most, and you want to visualize that and show need for new servers. You could actually do that with servers. More interestingly, like the restaurant traffic we're doing, which shows people and their interactions, we can also do obviously outside. You can look at other mapping scenarios, and there's just a lot of options. But you think, if you think about being able to create a 2D diagram of some kind that shows movement over space and time in Visio, then you have a chance of using a custom map. I saved mine as a ping format. That was just because I was, you can pick that or bitmap or something like that, but it does have to be saved down as an image. Now what's interesting is, and we'll show you this in Visio, I use paint.net when I'm working with any images. I like that tool. Price is right, and it's really well done and works well on Windows. So, but one of the things you're going to have to figure out is how to determine the X and Y coordinates, and you need to do it pixel-based. So one of the things Visio did not provide was, or at least not that I could find in the settings. It could be there, and someone can send me a note how to do it. But Visio actually showed its XY coordinates in inches. So that was not helpful to me because custom map and power map, it needs to see that in the pixel positions so it knows how to deal with that. A couple interesting notes as we go through the demo. I had to write the coordinates down. This was one of those things, and I was like, I wonder if this is true with everything. And pretty much looks like it is. I'm not sure if there's a tool out there that'll let me just click on something and hold my position while I go and put the coordinates into my Excel spreadsheet. But in this case, I actually had to write the coordinates down because every time I moved the mouse, the coordinates moved with me. And then as I went to a different screen, they were gone. So, we'll walk through that and some of the nuances, but just be aware that you're going to have to do that. And that's probably one of the more tedious parts of the effort. And then you add these to the data source, and you're ready to move forward. Oops, went too far. So building out our model is a Power Pivot model. So this is, I actually put all the data into an Excel spreadsheet, converted the relevant points to tables, and imported the tables into Power Pivot. So those tables, once I got into Power Pivot, you can see I have a 4-table scenario I have here, which is tickets and seats, table types, and restaurants. I only have one restaurant in here at the moment, but hey, maybe if we had more restaurants, I could actually show this across both the geographic space and and then show within each restaurant. So it's kind of a drill down scenario that I was supporting in that process. Once you create the relationships between the tables, then of course you add calculations that you want to use, summarizations, averages, counts, those kind of things that will actually help you visualize the data more efficiently. You'll add all those in there. In my case, I actually also, I'll show you why, but I also added a date and hour sequence because it allowed me to get the time in the correct format. So then once you're done with all that, you're going to create a power map. You're going to add a custom map into the solution. We'll walk through how to do that. Using the coordinates you have created, you'll notice down in the corner of the image there that says sort X and Y. These are both options for setting up coordinates. So you're going to, it's one of those map things, it's how they support custom map. And you can see in my scenario, I have a custom, my map is converted. Then you're going to choose your metrics and times so you can actually be able to present this and make it usable. There we go. Got through the tedious slide process. So we're going to jump into demos. We're going to start working our way through the existing product that I have built, and then we're going to talk about from there. So let's start out, first of all, with the raw data that was created. I have 3 tables on this page. This kind of represents my seat structure. So I have a seat, and we're going to walk across this real quick here. Let's get it a little bit here. So you can see here I have my seat code, which in my case, if you've working in an operational system, that code would be unique across all seats and all restaurants in my group. So my restaurant is called Sensational Servings. MSP is its current location. Table 1, seat 1. So that kind of gives you that layout. We have the table number, the table type. We have a subtable. I'll show you that in a second. But basically, we support bars, and then, like we said in the bullet points at the beginning, how many seats are at that table, and then the number of seats at the actual seat number at that table, restaurant. And here's where it gets interesting. We need the X and Y coordinates of the seat and the X and Y coordinates for the table, and we'll talk through when we go back to the table demo. We'll show you where this all comes from. But at the end of the day, these are how you actually are able to enable your custom maps for use within Power Map. And then let's see here. Then we go down to the other table I have. So here's the table type table. And you may say, well, why did you just throw them on there? Well, really, I didn't want to put extra tabs in. So this will support my needs for the demo and keeps it all pretty clean on the screen. A couple things about this is that in the restaurant, part of what was important to me was I also wanted to add in the geographic elements. I can actually, once I have an address, I'll probably add an address field in here as well. So I can have address, city, state, zip. So those are all mappable in the standard Power Map, so allows us that capability. Tickets, the tickets are laid out. Basically, there's a ticket number, the date that the ticket was initiated, the hour of the day, so kind of like I said, we grouped them into the hours, the seat number that the person was at. If you keep in mind, this works out really well with this iPad scenario because people would typically, I don't know if you've been there, in order to order food, you have to go through the iPad. Even if you let the server enter it, they have to use the iPad to enter the order. So it makes a lot of sense for that. And then I summarize app amount, entree amount, alcoholic versus non-alcoholic drinks. I did a one-row tab on here, kind of gives you where I was thinking through this. Basically, that's just basically talking about some of my notes, trying to match your patterns that I asked the bartender about. Like business travelers, that kind of thing. So we tried to map some of those in there as well to give a general solution. This is the initial part of our data source. Basically, to add this to Power Pivot is really fairly straightforward. This is Power Pivot here, and we can actually link tables in because these are all considered link tables. And when we go to, it actually shows the Excel tables that I have. I actually named all my tables so that they actually came through with names correctly. But you bring on the 4 tables right here. I add the relationships. Like in this case, we have a seat-to-seat number relationship, table type, and restaurant. So this allows all the data to work as we expect it to. So not a whole lot special here, just making sure you get your relationships in because it makes working with it very easy. We had a few calculated measures. I have no calculated measures or members on any of the other 3 supporting tables. Everything is on the tickets table. So I have ticket count, seats used, my totals for each of the buckets we have. Because you notice how the data came in with the date and hour of the day, I actually brought in the date, and here's the formula. It was hour of day divided by 24, gave the math correct, and I actually have date and hour in here as well now. Number of tickets for that period and the table type that's being referred to. So we also threw an average ticket amount and total ticket amount at the bottom, which I think, yeah. All right. So that's the basics of the data behind it. I know it's very simple, but it gives you a good reference point. Close this down. Let's look at the resulting power map. I'm going to walk you through this, and then we're going to create a brand new scene, which will allow us to create everything, kind of from the ground up and go through the whole process step by step. So as we dig into the power map solution, this was kind of funny. I was trying to just get one little dot on here, and so I ended up using capacity, which made a nice pillar saying where the restaurant is at that we're referencing, but this is my inspiration. Put the image into an annotation for this, and of course we have, there's 74 people can be there, and it's at the Sensational Servings, which I misspelled my own restaurant name, MSP. Then as we go and drop into the maps, you can see here we have entrees by seat each day, and beverage sales each day by type. Get down here, I got one more. So I did one-day analysis. So I actually pulled March 22nd using the new filtering capability and show our traffic, which says where the most traffic was per seat, and then the average amount. So let's go ahead and play the result, and then we're gonna go ahead and start expanding this scenario and doing adding to it. So this is called playing a tour. So we're just going to run this through this tour. It's going to run through time, and you can see here showing us our restaurant and doing some interesting visualizations. For those of you who've never seen Power Map, this is kind of the sweet part about it. It does transitions. So in this case, we're looking at entrees, seats by each day. One of the things to be aware of is if I pause this, I can actually go over the area and say, all right, so, oops, I forgot to get that a seat number. There's entree amount of $200 total for the day from that seat. So we keep playing. And you got the date and time at the top. I added a header so we knew which one it was. And then we're going to switch views again. In this case, we're going to go through beverage sales. As you can see, we sell a lot of alcohol because we're at an airport and a bar. And then hourly traffic by day. Now this one was interesting because basically this one pops every time somebody's at the table for any hour or at their seat. So potentially you can have one or two people there in any given hour. Not likely have a whole bunch more, but just kind of gives you an idea of where traffic is going and what time of day. And so again, as you said, like I showed before, if you pause it, you can go and grab for the day. You can see in this case, seat number 7 had one ticket count for 5 p.m. at the bar. Moving forward. And I believe we have one more visualization before this is done. This is the longest visualization because we're focusing on where people are coming in and going. As we have silence. Now see, if I was good, I would have had all the music behind this too to make everybody happy when they can hear the music. Let's go on and get to the end of this view. Yeah, so we skip to the end of that one. This is a one-day analysis. Focus here is on average ticket sales, so you can see how much of the tickets were that were sold. The heat maps actually show accumulate over the same time period, so as the averages pop up and down, showing you what happened at any given time. You can see here from our analysis, we can actually say that, well, the most popular seat in the house on Sunday was right here at the edge, which is typically. Now this is where if you do observation while you're there, you can actually say, well, a lot of families hang out at the bar because the kids like to sit at a bar, but they shouldn't be sitting at this bar, and so on. So in this case, we got the nice little private table over here people are happy with. But a lot of people like to sit by the door is what this comes down to. You notice that the least used portion of our restaurant is not by the entry, Probably something about catching a plane, I guess. All right, now, what you've all been waiting for. How in the world do you do this yourself? So let's go ahead and create a new scene. And we're not going to copy anything. We're going to do a new custom map. Okay, so as we said before, so this is the new custom map option that we're going to drop in. So what we're going to do is we're actually going to work with table data. One of the things I didn't show you yet was both the Visio and the paint. So let's go ahead and look at what our map looks like here in Visio first. So in this case, I used a couple different options. I used some wall features. So this is a couple walls here that I used to build this out. Some cabinets, so on that kind of represent this as my bar area. You can see this; these are stools. So if we had, might be furniture. Hold on here. It's the right spot, yeah. So in furniture, I've got chairs, I've got stools. So I use some stools around the bar, and then I use tables that they had here to get myself the table setup that I wanted. For the 2-1, I just broke apart the 4 and dropped off 2 chairs. So here's some ideas. Then went through and I added numbers here for clarity on my end, because these are the seat numbers that we want. And so you can see here, this is kind of the layout that we have. Now, I brought this up because I wanted to show you size and position in Visio. Why it's an issue is I can click right here. You notice X and Y are in inches. And I was trying to get it to find out if I could change that format, but I did not see it. Maybe it's probably bearing an option somewhere. But this gives you the size and position in inches, which is not helpful for what we're doing. And yeah, in PowerMap. So once I was done here, basically you go into File, and you do Save As, and you can pick your format. In my case, you can see here you can actually drop in. Any of the typical image formats are usable. So bitmap, tag, PNG, or portable network graphics, and some GIFs. So anything where you can actually is treated as an image is usable inside of PowerMap. So once that's saved, go back here. You have to open up in something now. Some people said you can open up just straight Paint. I'm not a big fan of just, Microsoft Paint is more of a pain than anything for me to want to use. This is actually in paint.net. So in here, you can see as I hover over, now here it gets to be fun. So what you need to watch is right down here in this spot. Let's see if we zoom in. So here is my pixel location, and you can see that we have pixels, inches, and centimeters used. We need to use pixels. And so as I hover over, just like that, as I hover over a seat position, this is kind of what I did. You had to go in there, and I had to say, okay, there's my position right there. It's 903,661. I need to go in and I wrote them down because there was no easy way to translate that. As you notice, if I were to go off the screen, as soon as I go off the screen, my last pixel location is somewhere else, not in what we're looking at. So as you can see, this was probably one of the more irritating pieces. Now, there may be better software tools for this to allow you to actually tag it. The price is right on paint.net. It is free. So using it made it easy for me, and I was able to isolate these and know I was getting the right thing. The other thing to note here is you should be aware of your size. It's 1261 by 971. The mapping tool will understand what that size is in PowerMap, but it's good to have it as a reference so you know that you've gotten the right sizing in your PowerMap. All right. So now once we've written all those down, all 75, actually technically 74 positions for all the seats, and then then you have to go back and do the tables. That's how it knows where to put the graphs. So we're focused on tables. So on the table scenario, I actually use some spot in here for the bar, some spot in here for the bar, and then pretty much center position on all the tables for the tables. All right, let's get that out of the way. So in Excel, what I had it written down, this is where the XY positions come into play. So I just, I use really sophisticated naming. That's a little sarcasm for everyone. Seed X, CY, table X, table Y. So I would know those positions. So you can see here that when I put the tables in, they're all the same position for a variety of these, which will collapse this information down. And then the seats all have different information. And typically speaking, if you draw them outright, you're going to have a lot of shared numbers where things are in alignment. I did align mine even if they weren't perfectly aligned on my map. It just happened to make it easier. So once that's in and that's in your, put it in your, obviously you'll deploy this to your Power Pivot model, then we can go to the map itself. So we go back to our custom map. Now you can see in our custom map options, we have custom map 2, so we're going to call this the other restaurant for now. So maybe I can spell restaurant correctly. And you can see, first thing you'll notice, adjust the coordinates to better fit your map. What I did was, get out of that first. And I have to go, I haven't put the map in yet. So we're going to go grab a map, browse for the background picture, and we are going to go grab that map out of, grab it out of the right place here. Wrong one. There we go. So here's our restaurant plan. We're going to grab it, open it up, and you see it immediately lays it out. We are color schemed at the moment, so my scene has actually been colored a little bit. And you know what? So as to clarify this a little bit, let me go ahead and stop where I'm at right now. Let's close this down, and let's go back into Power Map. And we're going to start from the ground up. So let's do a new tour entirely so everybody can see all the pieces in play. So when you create a new tour, it's going to open up like this. I realize some of your beginners are like, well, I should just start from the very, very beginning. So this gives you the layout. You can see Bing Maps is already loaded for you. And for me, I'm like, I wanted to kind of start out showing where I was as a restaurant. So if you look in the right corner here, geography and map level, I basically grabbed the zip code, and you can see it puts a dot right there in Minnesota at the Minneapolis airport. And we're going to, I can change the, that's not what I want themes. So the themes, there's a variety of themes. So you can go darker theme, or I did this one, I think, in the last one. So let's just choose a different theme. So we're doing something new. We're going to do kind of a gray tone theme. So you can see we're here. Now, this wasn't really compelling, so if you zoom in, I'm there. Because I just have the zip, I don't have anything else on there, I can actually go out here, add some interesting information to it. I can add my restaurant name, and I can add the capacity. So capacity, none of these are actually aggregations, so no aggregation, no aggregation. Zip we don't want to show because that's not relevant. And because we actually don't have the zip anymore, we're going to go ahead and put in city, and get rid of the aggregation on this one, and we're going to add the state. Now, typically speaking, I would go in and put these in city, comma, state, so they would actually look nicer here, but that's fine in this scenario. And then we're going to get rid of name. Look at that. See all those nice things we just did earlier. Now, when you go to the tool tip over the top, look at that. But that's not all we want to do. We actually want to add an annotation. So I want people to see the picture that I use. So you go and grab an image. In this case, I'm going to go out and grab my picture here. Grab the picture of the restaurant that I'm in. This was my inspiration. Gives you an idea. Let's go with a large image. Okay, done. All right, so we've done a lot of really heavy lifting work here. We're going to zoom in a little bit more so we can see the airfield, and we're going to play our first tour. And there you go. Really excited, not really, but that gives you an idea. And now we've done the first part of the map. Because I didn't attach any metrics to this dot, it only put the position in, and we're right where we need to be. and it shows us highlights. So let's go back. Now let's start with the good stuff. Let's create a new scene. And now when you go to new scene, we can pick a custom map. So we have the other restaurant. I've already created it in this visualization at some point. So we're just going to go ahead and we got that far. Let's go ahead and grab the other restaurant. Now you notice it's all gray tones, and it has it laid out. So let's see here. So once the image gets put in, there's no other, it knows what the pixel sizes are. We can zoom in and down as we see the need to do, depending on what we're trying to do. So if we go in here, let's start out with a very simple metric. So even though we have the seat numbers on here, we're actually focused on table metrics. So what we want to do is in this map, we're going to specify table X and table Y. And we're going to go in and say this is my X coordinate. And this is my Y coordinate. Zoom it back in. Appears I got the layers wrong. Let's see here. You know what? I think when I save that off, I think it saved me the wrong map. Let's get rid of this real quick. And we're going to go ahead and just add that brand new in. So new scene, new custom map. Go out here again. We'll call this my restaurant for now. And we're going to grab our image. Throw that restaurant floor plan in. Okay, so lines of coordinates, so let's go to pixel space. So now, this is the piece I missed last time. If by having not done it, it made the size different than what my map was, and I actually wanted to match my map entirely. You do have the option to flip the axes around if you need to, but we don't need to do that. And then, so by doing pixel space, it changes these up for us, and then we can apply those changes. And now the map will be consistent in the middle. Be done. We go back into this, and we add table X, table Y, and select this is X, and this is Y. And so and you can see here that it's identified the positions to reference the tables for any type of mapping and graphics we want to do. And it basically says, hey, we have the bar here, no other values in place. So if we were tracking, let's just look at, let's see here. Let's grab the entree amounts for today. We're going to go ahead. Oh, I'm doing the wrong thing. Let's remove this. So we're in geography map level. Once we have this set, this is our first piece. We're going to go now. We go after the metrics by hitting next. If you need to go back and change these, you just click on the edit button right here, and it'll let you go back and change your X, Y coordinates or whatever your mapping solution would be. So now we're going to go into here. Now you can actually drag in what we want to measure, if we want to split it up, and the time. So if we actually go down here, we can grab the, well, let's just check out total ticket amount. So this is a total ticket amount, no time associated to it. So for time we have, let's see, on the ticket we have date and hour. Excuse me. Now a couple things. So we've done the basics, right? This has been pretty straightforward. So we have a layer piece here, we have a time slot, and so on. So what does this look like? If we play this over time, you notice a few things about what we're doing here. So you can see that it's rolling the data up and down depending on what's there. And it's running the time across seconds and minutes and all that, or across minutes, and we don't really have minutes. So if we go in here and we actually set the time to hour, now it'll change how it rotates. It will only change on the hour. Even though it's showing seconds above, it'll still, or it's showing minutes, not seconds, it still only transitions every hour rather than at the top of them. And that matters because we can actually do two types of measurements on time. By the little clock down here in the corner, you can change how you see it. So you can only show the data for when it occurs, which is data for an instance. So you can see how the the map has actually went completely dark on us. There's no dots at all. So depending on when data shows up, and why this becomes important, because now if we pause it at the time when there's no data going, pause it, we can actually see the information about this. Now this gets into, okay, so now we see table X, table Y, total ticket amount, and so forth. Well, let's give it some real, let's fix this a little bit, because really we don't care about table X and table Y. We do care about the table number, and we do care about the table type, because that'd be nice to see. So if we go in here and say no aggregation, and we do no aggregation here as well, move these fields up, and then let's rename this to table number, and let's go edit this guy too. Call this, and then total ticket amount, and date and hour is not a bad thing to have in there. So we say okay. So now when I pause it, we can actually highlight and see, hey, there's my table number, there's my table type, the total tickets amount that was there. We don't have it formatted for dollars at the moment, so it's not coming through that way, and so on. Want to see the map a little larger? Now we can dive into it like this a little bit larger. We're showing total ticket amount. Do we need to have the label? And also, let's fix this guy so it's a little bit nicer for us. So you can actually format the date and time by right-clicking and hitting Edit. Now, what's kind of odd about it is, really, I think we prefer to see the day of the week because we're doing restaurant business, and that's very helpful. Once we do that, it changes the size. We can increase the size out here. The layer actually tells us, which is okay, but we're not learning a whole lot by that total ticket amount. That layer being there, we can actually create our own label. So if we do that, what I do in this scenario is I'd actually turn off the layer. Whoops, it's not layer pane. I want to just get rid of this guy. Go out, grab myself a text box, and say ticket amount by table, and we can actually go in here and say this view shows the total ticket amount by table for each hour of the day. Create that. Now we have both this header and we have a little description on it, and we can do something like this, kind of keep it out of the way. Just drop it. Let's see, we're going to drop right to the edge. And it looks like we need to move our map. Move our map over. All right, so now we have the date and time. We have kind of our own little header, and we now can actually play this again. You see how it looks so far. So we see our inspiration. We can set the timing on this, so this is not really very interesting at this point. I think it's probably got a 10-second lead on it. So this will show, there we go. And you see it going through the days and time, and you see that now it's showing relevant. Now this image, I'm not, so I'll be honest, I don't really care for how that graph showed, so let's have a look here. Let's go back to this one and say, well, what if we change this type? We can actually, well, if we did, because this is tables, right? So if we did table and we get rid of ticket amount, let's actually see the breakout by dropping in alcohol, app, entree, and non-alcohol. So now we might actually need our luncheon. And when you go up here, we can actually relabel this by clicking the edit button, which you can now say this is order type. And it doesn't hurt anything to have it a little bit over the map for what we're doing here because nothing really occurs in that corner. And so now if we play this along, you can see how the order types both grow in the amount that we have as well as show kind of a little breakout. That's a little bit more of an interesting visualization. And now we did lose all of our, a bunch of our annotations because we changed the metrics. So if we play this and then we just pause it during a day, we can actually click on these and it shows, oh, it still shows us total ticket amount. We can actually add the breakdown. So now if we go in here, we want to see everything on this. We can add all the other relevant pieces. So we grab the alcohol, app, alcohol, and entree. So now it'll show all those values. And we say OK. Then we come back here. You'll see that it's all there. And now you have all those pieces in place. So we play that. So that's, so now we have those pieces in the map, and it kind of gives us a real relevant showing for what we have. If we add another scene, in this scene, what we want to do is we're just going to make a copy of scene 2 because it's already got a bunch of pieces in there we'd like to go ahead and use. Come in, we can actually get rid of all the pieces here. So let's change up how we're doing this one. Currently we show a date and hour, and what we want to do is we want to actually filter this to only show what the data looks like on a Friday. So if we want to say, I want to see what my Friday metrics look like, we're going to do a few things. Let's go ahead and we're going to add a filter to the scene then. And in the filter, we're going to grab the date and hour, add that in. And this was interesting working through this because now you'll see that there's a couple pieces I don't like. So what we're going to do is on and after, and our Friday date. You can see I'm scrolling through this wonderful calendar here. My Friday date, so it's the week of the 22nd of March 2015. My Friday date is the 27th. And if I click in here, I actually open at 6 a.m. So there we go. So then we also want to do is on or before, and we're going to do the same date. Interestingly enough, you cannot type in that, so you actually have to scroll through all the months. So if you have a lot of months to work with, this could be a problem. So going through, or you can do like that. March 27th, closing time, 10 p.m. Now, this little apply filter, this won't work unless you actually select apply filter. So now we are filtered on the data. You'll know you're filtered because up here at the top, instead of saying all, it says filtered. If you were to leave this screen before you apply the filter, it will actually still say all up here and will do nothing. So you will think you actually had a filter when you really did not. Okay. So now we go back into our our layer. We're still looking at tables, so we're going to do this by table. Go down and grab. Let's see here. So let's do a alcohol sales. So this is our sum of alcohol sales. Let's do it as a heat map. So how much did it cost us? Let's just have a look at what that looks like to start with. You notice we really didn't get much sales until later in the day, which is kind of what we expect. Now, that's only partially relevant for what we're doing. What we really want to know is, remember how down here we had the set, we're going to accumulate that data over time because we actually want the image to get bigger and darker as it rolls out. So if we play this again, you see there's really nothing sold in the morning, and then in the evenings we start to see this bubble up. We see obviously more people spend time at the bar on Friday, and while it's kind of highlighted here, at the end of the day we can see what's going on a little bit closer. Now, we're going to do something a little different. We now know the alcohol sales at the table level, but let's switch this around and let's do this my seat. So you can actually go into our geography here, and instead we can choose seat X, seat Y, and we can remove these guys and choose X and Y for the seat. And you might be wondering why I'm doing it this way. Because at this point now I can kind of get a better picture of what's happening at the bar and the variety table space and the seats. And as they blend together and work together, we'll be able to see a little bit more of this data. So zoom in a little bit while it's coming up. So you can see that the bar area that's really popular is right here in the middle, and a lot of alcohol is being drunk there as well as in the side and really right by the entrance. So once again, we're showing people in those positions. That gives us a better view of kind of what's happening at a holistic level. So now we've applied it that way, so we're actually going to change our label. And I won't even worry about that piece. We'll just get rid of that. Say OK. Shrink this up so the bottom section is not showing anymore. Get consumption to actually fill out. All right, so now, there we go. So now if we apply this, and really we don't need this either, because I think we're saying what it is by the side. So if we drop this and bring this guy up, it's pretty clear what it is by itself. And then so now we've got that piece in. So we go in here, we can actually, let's go ahead and zoom that in one more time. And we're going to go to settings here. So here's one of those pieces that we need to look at. So if we go back at our beginning, because remember, you're creating kind of this whole movie experience. So then we start talking about things like scene options. So our scene duration is 10 seconds. We really don't need this one for 10 seconds. This is kind of my intro slide. Kind of shows where we are and the inspiration. So we're just going to do that. We're going to give it a name, call it inspiration. Its transition will be 3 seconds, so it really is not doing too much. We're going to go ahead, though, and we're going to push in, and you'll see what that does. We can affect the speed, so it can push in faster or slower. So if we actually make it a little bit faster. Now, to see what we're doing here, you actually come over to your over near your tour, and you can see on this scene, we can play this piece just to see what it looked like. So now you're seeing the effect that we have, which is a kind of a fly-in or a zoom-in scenario on that one. Let's get back out of here. So then our next one, we're going to want to do something similar, and that's our scene name will be orders by table will be good for now. So this is my orders by table. Once again, it's now 10 seconds is pretty good because we're playing over an actual timeline, and we want to take that into account. So then we go ahead and push in here, and we're going to do a flyover. Let's do a flyover for this one, make sure it looks all right. Okay. So won't show the transition here yet. So it runs about 10 seconds. Now you can see in the corner here it's 10 seconds, or 5 seconds, 10 seconds, and then so on. And on this one, now what's interesting here is we have one visualization, and it's just showing the heat map. So right now we're doing, let's call this beverage consumption, because we're going to add another layer to this. So we go in here to layers. So right now you can see we have an order type and I did the visualization, but if we add another layer, which my little bar here, let's move that down. So am I editing? Yep. Add a layer, there we go. So in my second layer, I can also choose geography. Now if you recall, what we did was we actually put these by seat. So now we can actually do a table geography overlaid on top of our seat geography. So we'll end up changing our title again, but that's all right. So in this demo, we're actually going to go and grab table X and table Y, add these in, X, Y, and then go next. So now I have tables as well as seats represented. And in this case, we're actually going to take and drop in their total order. Actually, we're going to look at ticket counts, I think, at this level here. Let's get out of the way again. So we go grab ticket count. You can see how many tickets were at each table position. That image is not very good, so we're actually going to, I don't like the squares, so we're going to change the shape. Now I'm going to vote for circles. I like the pillar look a little bit better. And we definitely have to do something about the color. So we can actually change that as well. What am I missing here? Category. Let's see. Just did somehow. You know, I just changed this earlier. Well, I think, yeah, that's just the data card. All right. Now, you know what? My bar is getting in the way again. That's what I'm doing here. So there we go. And the settings gear that we have there, let's move this one more time. We can actually go in and say, all right, I want ticket count. I don't want pink. I think it'd look cooler if it were purple. Yes, purple in the middle of my heat maps. That should be good. And go ahead and blow this up again. We're going to get rid of this. We added this guy. And we're doing and ticket count by table. Okay. Make him fill out that whole space. Now you can see we've done the whole thing. And we can, oh, I didn't show this, but you can actually, because this is all 2D at this point, you can actually lay it out flatter if you wanted to, which doesn't help us much there, but might look better there. Zoom in one more time and give it a playthrough, see how that looks. Looks like I don't have the time set up correctly on my tables, so we'll go back to the layer properties here. We don't have time at all. So in this layer, we actually need to make the time happen. And we want to do this the same way. We're going to have to do the same thing and apply a filter at this one because they can actually run different filter levels. So we're going to go in here and grab my date and hour, throw that into time, and we're going to grab the, you go throw that as a filter, we're going to add a filter here, we're going to throw in on there as well, date and hour, add that, once again, it's on or after, running about 5 minutes here, so I'm going to do this and save this guy off so you can see it, and then see we're on Friday, right? And we're running from 6 a.m. before 2015 March 27, and we're running this till 10 p.m. And apply that filter and run it. Make sure we're looking where we want to be at. Do you notice how alcohol consumption rises towards the end of the day? The way it should be. And we're good to go. All right, so now we've done this. we can actually go in here, change our tour name to second tour, play the tour, and this is about 45 seconds of video. You can do a lot more if you had different things that you're trying to do from an expansion type standpoint. If you're looking at showing more information at any point in time, you can pause the video and get to the tooltips. So this is alcohol consumption by seat, ticket by table. So our tickets are going up and down. The tickets currently are showing by hour, whereas the alcohol consumption is showing by accumulated value over time. And that, as they say, is a pretty high-level overview of a little bit deep dive into what you can do with PowerMap, particularly focused on the custom map features. Go back to my slide deck here, start to wrap up. As soon as I find my slide deck, there we go. Let's see. Some other ideas, you can use custom geographies. One of the examples Microsoft has on their site is an island that was more done like a tourist map, and it showed different intersections they were tracking. Product flow, if you want to track, if you're actually doing manufacturing or something that actually shows quantities or some type of measurable value moving from one location to another. One of the things I thought about was pipes. So maybe you're working in a company that produces some type of liquid or is transporting it and wants to know how much is moving through the piping or whatever conduit they're using. You can do that. Really, this is only limited to your ability to actually map and then do the data over time. So that really gives you kind of that idea. And I'm going to hold on to this screen here. This is all my contact information, as well as the site for Pragmatic Works. One of the things to keep in mind that we do provide well, everything you see there, product, services, and training. But I really hope you enjoyed the training today. I'm curious, looks like we do have some questions. Let me see what we got here. Oh, I have some really practical questions. Okay. So let's go through this here. So if the manager changes the arrangement of the tables, you have to start all over with a new image. That sounds like a lot of work. Well, here, yeah, you would have to change. That is true. You would have to change it to a new image. There's nothing you can really do about that. It's just like if somebody moved a city on a map. You'd run the same problem. Somebody has to actually do the coordination and make that happen. Will the example Excel file PowerMap be shared in the blog or website somewhere? I will try to get that available, Brian. That has been, it's always fun trying to distribute it. This data is completely unique to me, so that makes it something I can distribute. And not sure what the true time breakout is about, but that is, I think that's all the questions we have. I'm not sure if Liz is still on to wrap us up beyond what I've got.
Yep, I'm here.
But if she, oh, good. Hopefully you all had enjoyed that session and you enjoyed it. So I enjoyed giving it and putting it together. I will see if I can get all the pieces together so you guys can have a working demo, including all the images. So.
Yeah, and we'll make sure when Steve does get that available, we'll make sure to post it on our social media site. So if you're not already following us on either Facebook or Twitter, please do so. We'll also try to post it on our blog as well so you can keep up to date with that. If you have any other questions, feel free to email Steve. His email is still on the screen, or you can email me directly, as always, via the GoToWebinar stuff. We appreciate everybody, and we hope to see you again in our presentations throughout the month.
Thanks again, everyone.
Thanks.